Hey, what's up, folks? It's Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always has your back and tells it like it is. Well, I got another weekly update for you that's packed with a ton of information. I actually went into making this video thinking I didn't have a whole lot this week, and then I came out of the video like, oh my gosh, I have got a ton of information. So we're going to be talking about globalization. That's a bit of a new thing here with JASMY, globalization. We're going to be talking about the tax law reform for essentially crypto taxes in Japan and why that is so critical. I've got a fabulous AMA out of China, another one that was uncovered by our team, as well as we'll be going through the feed. I'll be taking a look at the chart. Got a little bit of everything in this one, so it should be a really good video. So hopefully you got your bourbon and biscuits wherever you're at around the world. Hopefully this is entertaining. You get some value out of it, and you enjoy the video. Okay. So if you do, always make sure to hit the like button. It helps out the channel. Big thanks all around on that. Don't forget to subscribe. If you haven't subscribed yet, that means big deal to the channel as well. And then lastly, if you click the bell, you'll be made aware whenever I post time-sensitive content, which is exactly what this video is. And now, let's get it going. All right, what's up, everybody? Wanted to kick this video off right here with this post from Crypto Gizmo. So with JASMY getting close to full dilution and other exchanges still to list based on the roadmap taking up more supply, a possible green listing in Japan around the end of dilution taking up even more supply, we could see some big moves in the next few months. I agree 100%, exactly why I retweeted that. So great post by Crypto Gizmo. Moving up, we had a IoT post here from Zippy. So if you're not following Zippy, definitely give Zippy a follow. He's always taking all the questions for our weekly JASMY Spaces call. So if you can't make the call, it's typically on Sundays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time, U.S., wherever you're at. That's where it would be. That's where the time it is for me anyway. But we get a lot of people from the UK, Europe on that call, as well as all across the US. If you got any questions at all, route them over to Zippy and he will ask the group. So Zippy's post here, first of all, on wearables. So this is a post that centers all around IoT, right? So wearable devices such as smartwatches continuously monitor, track user preferences and habits. Also works well for sports and medical. The global wearable device market is estimated to see more than 87 billion in revenue by 2023. So that's just next year. So right around the corner. Now, Zippy goes on to say, number two, the smart home. Smart homes are able to leverage appliances, lighting, electronic devices, and more, learning a homeowner's habits and developing automated support. Smart home market could see a compound annual growth rate of 25% between 2020 and 2025 to reach 246 billion. So you see all the billions, and they do nothing but increase, right? Next, we got the smart city. As more and more people flock from rural to urban areas, cities are evolving into safer, more convenient places to live. Smart city innovations are keeping pace with investments going towards improving public safety, transport, and energy efficiency. Dead on again. And lastly, smart industry. So industries from manufacturing to mining rely on digital transformation to become more efficient and reduce human error. From real-time data analytics to supply chain sensors, smart devices help prevent costly errors in industry. That was a really good post from Zippy. You know, Zippy is funny because, you know, his avatar here is Zippy the Muppet that's like a DJ because Zippy is a DJ back home. And anyway, don't underestimate him. He definitely knows his stuff here, and he has done a colossal amount of research on JASMY. Okay, so definitely give Zippy a follow if you are on crypto Twitter. Okay, moving on up. Had a post here from the captain. So these times are tough. The project remains the same, goals remain the same, but the economy is destroyed, making us suffer short term. So here's a question. If your investment could be sold right now at a 2x profit, but you could never re-enter JASMY again, what do you do? almost 84% said hodl for the long term. So that really kind of shows the community sentiment, I think. And the captain said to us, I think privately, that he was kind of surprised by those results. He didn't think it'd be anywhere near that high, and so that's pretty amazing overall. Dip Metaverse. So we're going to cover Dip a little earlier than I normally do because there wasn't any movement this week. Part of that had to do, there were a couple banking holidays in Japan. There was one Monday, I think another one Friday. We also had, the latest increase by the Fed. So all of that kind of combined, I think, it could have made them maybe a little bit nervous to possibly do any coin dilution this week. So nothing happened, all right? Here's a post from Blake saying 1K. When you're early, none of the metrics matter. Macro mindset wins when you're able to basically wait out the diamond in the rough, right? So Warren Buffett is a prime example of this vision. Day traders will make hundreds of thousands, but will also lose more times than not. I hodl JASMY. And so I really like that post because, Blake kind of highlighted there the Warren Buffett mindset, right? It's a long term, extremely macro view of the markets in general. And, I can remember back to 2008 when Warren Buffett started gobbling up, this company and that company and buying this thing and buying that thing. And everybody else was broke and he was over there buying, right? In a way, it kind of reminds me now that I think about it of Binance or FTX today, where they've been sort of buying companies, helping companies, getting bigger in market share. That's exactly what Warren Buffett did, and it's because of that long-term macro strategy. So, I've said it before that I'm not a micro investor. I'm not a micro trader. There's probably better accounts out there if that's your style. Totally fine. I'm more of a macro long term guy. Okay, so that's kind of the how information is communicated on this channel. So moving on up here, we had another post here from Zippy. JASMY has become the first Japanese blockchain project approved to be listed on the Japanese digital currency exchange. So thought that was really cool. Also, just kind of getting bigger here for JASMY. Let's see here, Burt's Bees. This was actually a really funny post, and everybody who watches my videos knows I like to highlight jokes every once in a while. So there was a post here from CZ that said, "Crypto Twitter destroyed me. Now every time I put a lip balm into my pocket, I picture a picture of Vitalik enters my head." So if you haven't seen the picture of Vitalik, you really just have to search for it on Twitter, and you'll know the picture we're talking about. And then this person here said, "How big is your lip balm?" And somebody found this image of Burt's Bees. So anyway, that's pretty inappropriate, but I thought that was a really funny thing. There's never a shortage of that kind of stuff on Twitter. So anyway, moving on up. So I posted this video earlier in the week, and this is kind of a microcosm of everything I know about JASMY up until that point. Now, obviously, I've got some different insights in this video that weren't in that one, but that's a good comprehensive review for anybody who's looking to find out about JASMY. I would recommend them to check out that video. I also wrote a blog post that goes along with it. It's at my website, KIRfinance.com. You can check that out. I've got other posts in there as well. I even did one this past week about uh, promotions, essentially. So whether you are in a management role or not in a management role and what really matters. So some valuable insights in there, and that has nothing to do with crypto. So just an FYI. Anyhow, I went ahead and commented on my own post here also. And the reason I comment is because there's just a ton of FUD out there. And I don't know if it's just the overall market sentiments just kind of down in the dumps, or if there's like FUD bots. I'm starting to wonder if some people are bots because there's never anything positive, ever, right? So anyhow, that's why I was showing on here, was kind of saying that, look, JASMY's currently oversold on very low volume and no one controls the market. And that's true. And this is why, when you follow all the chart experts, I mean, there's accounts on Twitter that have, hundreds of thousands of followers for this kind of TA stuff. And then ultimately, the market sort of does whatever it's going to do. And sometimes the TA doesn't matter. Okay. And so that's kind of my point in that post is that um, if you're looking at it from a micro lens, then maybe you care about the day to day. Personally, I do not. That's not why I follow JASMY or invest in it or talk about it regularly. Right. Moving on up, here is a post from the Bitcoin rainbow chart. And if you haven't seen the rainbow chart, this is over at blockchaincenter.net. This guy on the top right, Holger, he's the creator. And it tracks Bitcoin kind of through the life based on the colors of the rainbow. And right now, we're right at the dark blue. And so basically a fire sale. So this is the area here where I don't know if you can really go wrong in this market. If you're picking up um, anything of value, put it that way, in this market. I mean, obviously, there's always going to be scam coins and rug pulls and crap like that. But if you're looking at or investing into, the top 100, top 200 coins, I really don't know if you can go wrong right now because of where we're at and how everything rides Bitcoin. It is at the dark blue area here. I even saw, a joke, I think it was from Altcoin Daily, where they added a purple line on here. There is no purple line in the rainbow chart. So it's a blue line, but it's at the bottom right now. And so the bottom line is that when you're at the bottom, the only place you can go is either sideways or up, right? So that was kind of the thought there with the Bitcoin rainbow chart. Here's a post here from Coinfrontation. So if you're not following Coinfrontation, he's a member of our research group. He's based in Europe, and he has been doing a weekly JASMY call. So not our call that's on Sunday. That's a little too late for him because of the time difference. He's been doing a call that I think for me on Eastern time, it starts around 2 p.m. Wednesdays. So wherever you're at, he does that call, and it's also recorded. You can listen back to it later. A bunch of different people, especially some of the JASMY community from Europe, etc., are on that call. So check that out. Had a pretty good call this past week. Moving on up. Oh, yeah. So this is interesting. This just came out today. Heard this on the radio that essentially Forbes did some investigating and found that roughly, according to them, 51% of Bitcoin trades are wash trades, meaning that the seller is also the buyer. So what that kind of says to me is market manipulation, right? This is that whale manipulation that everybody's always kind of talking about, but we don't really know or we're not really sure. They did some pretty extensive research, and I've got a link here to the article where you can check that out. And I want to say they looked at like 170 plus centralized exchanges and found roughly 51% wash trades on Bitcoin. And why that's really important is when you think about this whole market rides Bitcoin, well, what does it mean when, this Bitcoin movement could be false? It's not real movement, right? It's just somebody pulling the strings in the background. What does that really mean, right? And for me, I'm kind of a personal believer of I think that for the cryptocurrency market to grow in the long run, it needs to decouple itself from Bitcoin. Bitcoin can always be a great asset, and you can always invest in it, and it can be a store of value, and all those things that it's good for, right? It could be a peer-to-peer payment system. You could use it in El Salvador, whatever you want to do. But ultimately, I think that having the whole market riding one coin is detrimental. And I can compare it to something like the stock market. It would be like if every stock that's traded in the stock market had a trading pair with Apple and Tesla and Amazon or something like that. And then, it's like if they go up, great, the whole market's up. And they go down, great, the whole market tanks. And that's kind of what happens. And, later in this video, when we're looking at the JASMY chart, that's what I'm going to highlight because I don't think a lot of people understand that. It is hard to understand that essentially with all these BTC trading pairs, sometimes when a large whale puts in a sell order, then essentially it triggers all these bots across all these exchanges to also sell at the same time. And so you'll see like every single coin goes down by the same amount at the same time. It's really odd if you've never followed crypto to see that. and to try and wrap your head around what exactly is going on here. And as far as I've been able to gather in all my time in crypto is, I think it's the trading pairs that are basically propping something up or pulling it down. And I think lately it's been pulling it down, and it also corresponds with the stock market, which is, has not been good. Okay. So, prior to this whole massive market downturn that we've been in, everybody always said, oh, yeah, Bitcoin's a hedge against inflation, and crypto's different. It's its own market. And then lo and behold, it's been like following the, S&P 500 like a T. So anyhow, it's just a very unique insight, and it's definitely worth a read if you're going to be investing in cryptocurrency, to know that essentially up to half the Bitcoin trades out there are completely phony. And I've actually seen this insinuated before. There's various articles out there that show that Tether prints more USDT that coincides with every single Bitcoin run. And obviously Tether's got all of its own issues of whether it really has the assets to support its valuation, its market cap. But it's very, very odd how that happens. Okay, so there's definitely some manipulation out there that's going on. Right. Moving on up. This was really funny. I'm not going to click on it now. It's a video, but essentially it was kind of how CT crypto Twitter has been for 2022, and it's kind of basically Elmo going on a bender, and it's kind of coinciding with the price of Bitcoin. So if you get the chance, check that out. It's actually really funny. Here was another thing from OpenSea, and let me see here. Oh, I don't have the whole thing in here. Anyway, that was another joke talking about you're going to have a hard time buying monkey pictures right now when like the whole market's on fire, basically. So thought that was kind of funny. Anyhow, moving up. So here's a post here from JASMY Holder. The two public holidays, a typhoon, and the big Fed decision probably meant caution from the team. I agree with you. Spot on. Here was a post from Hyde Para. So if you're not following Hyde Para, he is in our research group. He's a member, and he's also based in Japan. So per the translation, and let me just say also that these translators, these auto translators, are not always right. But here's what it's given us for what he wrote here in Japanese. So there's JASMY in Japan's national policy. I agree. If you look at the national data strategy, definitely written all over it. Nationwide travel support, travel to Japan. Yep. Electronic money promotion, DD Coin. Web 3.0 promotion, JASMY. Data security, the PDL. Regional revitalization, the smart city. Yep. Dead on. Medical research, Biomedica. Entertainment tickets, Tizwit. So that's the entry exit system. DX, Transcosmos, Sony, and others. So I thought that was a pretty good post from Hyde Para. Kind of really summed it up, and it's amazing to have people that actually live in Japan be part of our group. So that's really cool. We really do have a worldwide research group for all of the work that is done that kind of goes into my videos. It goes into our Twitter, our JASMY Spaces calls. It goes into Coinfrontations calls and all our various posts. So definitely give Hyde Para a follow if you're not following him yet and you're on CT. So also here we had a comment from Brian commenting on that. If you're not following Brian, he's a member as well. So I listened to PM Kishida's speech at the New York Stock Exchange and heard that as well. So he says Japan's 5 priorities are very favorable to JASMY in terms of use case potential. I hope crypto tax reform is expedited so adoption can happen. The urgency has never been greater. And I'm going to highlight that later in today's video. And that's kind of why I wanted to retweet that post, because Brian and I are oftentimes on the exact same thought process. And Brian's not the only one. Obviously numerous members of our group were kind of like this. But Brian and I are definitely kind of seeing things the exact same way here. So I thought that was excellent that he caught that as an observation, right? Post from Zippy. So this is Plug, a cross-chain platform. So if you don't know what Plug is, it's basically a service offered by Centrality. Who's Centrality? Well, they're the JASMY partner that makes it possible to have JASMYnet, aka the JASMY blockchain. So it says in this picture, Plug's partner companies were introduced, mainly Chinese companies as well as JASMY. And one of them here is McDonald's. So that's pretty awesome, right? Moving on up, the last thing I wanted to hit in my feed here is the Bitcoin Fear Greed Index is at 20. And the reason I wanted to highlight this is I can remember when the market was super bullish, this was firmly in the green, right? And what it tells me is that when the market gets like this is where smart money is made. So I'll leave it at that, right? Moving on forward, and I do want to say also there was I think it was a security conference that Katsumasa Sato was speaking at. It was either today or yesterday. I haven't seen an update from JASMY Management or PR Times or Nikkei Asia on that, but I do know that he was a speaker at that event. I'm pretty sure Brian's mentioned that on CT as well. So that happened. Okay. Here's something else that was announced. So this ResorTech Expo 2022 Okinawa. And why this matters here is just some of the people who are involved, some of the companies who are involved in this expo. I want to say this is a 2-month expo that's going on. Right here, Transcosmos, right? So that's one of JASMY's biggest partners. That is their call center partner that they work together to create Secure PC. We've also got Toyotas in here. Look, there's Toyota. A lot of big companies and sort of branches of really big companies are in here too. Let me scroll down here. Let's see. Salesforce, right? Salesforce Japan. They are a massive company. So that's a really big one. Fujitsu's in there, right? Where's our other one? WITS. Here's WITS. So WITS and Transcosmos are both a part of this. Hitachi, right? So some really big names are a part of this 2-month long expo. And these are core partners of JASMY that are a part of this. So that's a pretty awesome thing to see them in there, right? Here we go. So this was an AMA. So credit this to Brian Russell finding this AMA. This is another Chinese one. So I've gone ahead and I've screenshotted all the stuff that I thought was important. The really funny thing is that in our private Discord that we have, Brian actually screenshotted, I think, nearly the same identical stuff. So great minds think alike. But let me go ahead and I'll scroll through those real quick. All right. So a few things here. So and by the way, I've also got a few screenshots here that weren't from the AMA. I forgot about these. I've actually going to share these first, and then we'll share the AMA stuff. But this was from another article that was talking about JASMY's partners. I want to say that Zippy had found this one. And why I wanted to highlight this one, this JNA, they are one of JASMY's partners. You'll see their logo on the jasmy.global website. My point in this one here is this section down here where they say JNA maintains close business cooperation with many well-known corporate customers in Japan and around the world, including Apple, Toyota, Panasonic, Sony, Siemens, okay, and achieves annual sales of 70 million, okay? So what are they? It says they're a representative company of new generation of software systems engineering companies that develop and research AI, IoT, and cloud technologies. Okay, so that's JNA. Why I thought that was pretty awesome down here is they're talking about Apple. Apple's been mentioned with JASMY before. Toyota has been mentioned per the WITS partnership. Panasonic has been mentioned as part of that. Obviously, Sony's been mentioned, and then Siemens. So pretty awesome on that front, right? Here we go. So this was really cool. So this is some of JASMY's partners talking about why they like JASMY. And really, you're going to see a theme here of the platinum data. So essentially, JNA highly appreciates the concept and innovation of JASMY Secure PC and platinum data proposed by JASMY. The two parties have the same ideas on data management and will join forces in the future to cultivate cutting-edge technology, engineers, and in-depth cooperation in many fields such as new technology and innovation solution research and development. So that was awesome. Then we've got a quote here from Nippon Travel Agency. So what do we got here? So we sincerely welcome the new concept of platinum data. And I want to say this one was from roughly somewhere around 2020. So we sincerely welcome the new concept of platinum data proposed by JASMY to protect and correctly use personal data. At present, our company is promoting the company's digital transformation and launching new explorations in new fields that are completely different from traditional tourism. I thought that was a really awesome quote from Nippon Travel Agency. Here's Applix. So Applix wholeheartedly agrees with the concept of platinum data proposed by JASMY. In the future, Applix and JASMY will cooperate deeply to create a new blueprint for IoT business. Awesome, right? This page here, this was actually taken from the Koozyt website. They are also a JASMY partner, and the whole reason I highlighted this, and I think I shared that in my last video. I may or may not have. Anyhow, it said Smile Magic uses face image recognition technology developed by Sony Corporation. So, there's always these underlying Sony connections all over the place within JASMY, and this is sort of one of them. That one of JASMY's partners, Koozyt, uses Sony's facial recognition technology. All right, moving on. Okay, here we go. So here's the AMA. So in Japan, we've cooperated with Transcosmos, the largest customer service center in Japan, WITS, which provides mobility solutions for large companies such as Toyota and Panasonic, and Vio, a well-known high-end notebook computer brand, and oh yeah, this was the big part of this one, local governments, and began to promote business based on JASMY on the JASMY platform. So my point in this, there was a lot of nuggets in that little paragraph right there. So we've got Transcosmos, we've got Toyota, we've got Panasonic, we have Vio, and then we have local governments. So I love the government ties. And this is another one here, another government one. So in Japan, especially in Hokkaido, where the demand for unmanned driving is high, we will work with WITS to build a platform where passengers' personal data can be used with peace of mind. So this says in November 2020, the verification experiment has been started through the actual road test. JASMY is mainly responsible for the technical research and development of personal data security. This project is a key project officially recognized by the Japanese government. Okay, so when we're always talking about JASMY and government connections, here's one right here. So the autonomous driving partnership with WITS is officially recognized by the Japanese government to promote the development of smart cities. In the road test area, a new landmark baseball stadium, this is the Hokkaido ballpark, is currently under construction with a total investment of 60 billion yen. Awesome, right? Here's a quote. So this is from Sato. So JASMY's system can be connected to any IoT device, including cars. At present, we mainly start our business from terminals such as computers, smartphones, and cars. At the same time, for servers, routers, surveillance cameras, and electronic locks, the product development of a series of IoT devices such as driving recorder is also in our plan. So that's really interesting. I've seen the surveillance camera angle before. I don't know if I've seen electronic locks posted before. And I think I've seen servers and routers as well. But anyhow, surveillance cameras and electronic locks. So that was interesting. Here's one from Hara. Of course, in the near future, we will also provide services to the global market, including China. And there are numerous Chinese AMAs that Brian has uncovered. Hyde Para has also found numerous bits of research for China. In China, we plan to build a platform service with the Internet of Things as the core combined with blockchain technology, just like Japan. JASMY's technology can, in principle, be connected to any basic system and hardware device. Pretty awesome, right? Now, here's some really good questions. So these were at the end of the AMA. And by the way, I'm going to post the link to the AMA in the video description. I always post the links there. So if you want to go check it out yourself, you can. Can you tell us about the progress of JASMY's experiments in Hokkaido? So in Hokkaido, a special government department has been established to carry out road testing. There are people who actually ride before the snowy day, which is very convenient. And some of this may be repeat if you watch my videos, because I've seen this quoted before. Advertisements can be posted in the car and in conjunction with the completion of the new baseball stadium in 2023. It is currently progressing smoothly. At present, it is advancing with Apple, and I believe that an agreement will be reached in the near future. So there's that Apple mention. That's the only time I've ever seen Apple mentioned anywhere with JASMY, is right there. Okay. Question two: what is the compatibility between SG and the current mainstream Windows, Mac, and computers? I've kind of wondered that. And per the reply, JASMY technology can basically support Windows and Mac and has been practically applied through actual testing experiments. Good to know, right? Question seven: how to enjoy the benefits brought by JASMY in China? What are the development plans for JASMY in China? So, the answer: we take digital currency as an opportunity to join JASMY's unique technology and make it widely known as the first step. After that, we plan to cooperate with more Chinese enterprises that attach importance to information security. In China, we currently plan to cooperate with, and here's some Chinese companies. So I think this is Xiaomi. We got Huawei, UnionPay, Alibaba, Data, and Amazon. We're always trying to seek cooperation with them. So I thought that was pretty awesome, right? So that's some actual name dropping of Chinese companies. I don't think I had seen that before. 2020 is over. What are the achievements of JASMY that satisfy you the most in the past? And that's what's funny. Look at all the insights you can get from this. And this is from 2020. This is 2 years ago. JASMY's town mobility as a service project in Kita, Hiroshima, Hokkaido was adopted as a national project in Japan. A national, and there's that government theme again, a national project in Japan. That means that the actual federal government of Japan, the national government, was involved in this, which is very exciting and was also introduced and exhibited at CES in January this year. So that is super awesome. When you don't know this stuff about JASMY, or you can't find these Chinese AMAs, you don't have any of this information. So here you go, where they're actually saying that yes, this was approved by the government of Japan. Okay. Excuse me. So question number 10: does JASMY have any incentive plan to encourage our small investors to hold JASMY for a long time? Great question, right? Our company has pioneered the model of integrating crypto assets in the real economy. At this stage, it is mainly based on the actual test experiments of enterprises. In Japan, we have tried to break through the integration of commercial JASMY coin and physical business. After listed companies join the market, they will form a new model that is different from the current token. At this time, not only will the value increase, but JASMY coin will also spawn different ways of using it. So that's utility that they're talking about. It is believed that in the near future, investors who hold JASMY coin may be able to use JASMY coin to enjoy Japan travel without any worries. That goes back to the post that Hyde Parra did just the other day, which also goes back to the Prime Minister's speech. Here it is 2 years ago. Amazing, right? All right, let me close that one. Okay, and lastly, here was something on Society 5.0. And the quote says, in Society 5.0, a huge amount of information from sensors in physical space is accumulated in cyberspace. In cyberspace, this big data is analyzed by artificial intelligence, and the analysis results are fed back to humans in physical space in various forms. This is basically describing JASMY to a T, okay? And that was from the government for Society 5.0. Okay, coming back up here. Let's move on. So in terms of globalization, I wanted to talk about that in this video also. That we had this quote from Hara where he was talking about the Binance US AMA, thanking them for the opportunity. And then he says here, we're finally expanding to the rest of the world. Okay. And it says the blockchain service is launching. We have already formed alliances with PC manufacturers. But the critical thing here is we are finally expanding to the rest of the world. This is a change for them, that they're really starting to do more of a focus on the rest of the world outside Japan. And that's why I kind of want to highlight here. Now, a couple other things I've found. So if you go to the jasmy.co.jp website and you translate this thing in English, and you're on the part where it talks about the team and Ando. Well, above Ando, we've got these 5 bullet points. And look at this second to last one. It says recruiting human resources with a view to globalization. so so there's that. You think about, I think of this, how many startups have a view to globalization? Not many, right? I mean, you really kind of have to have a global mindset to even attempt something like that. And it's kind of ironic that you can see the picture of Ando here just below that statement, right? So that was awesome. Next, if you have not been to CoinMarketCap recently for the JASMY page, they have significantly expanded the description of JASMY, and all of this is in English. And as I mentioned in my last video, they recently did the Binance US AMA, not a regular Binance, but the Binance US AMA. So they're targeting US. Then they update CoinMarketCap. Okay. And what's interesting in all of this is that Binance, the parent company, owns CoinMarketCap. So, you can see this sort of change in focus a little bit, that they are shifting gears. We have noticed that in our group, and I think Rob T has really kind of pointed out the best in our group. If you get the chance to listen in on the JASMY Spaces calls, he usually talks on there, and he adds a ton of insight for our team. So always good to hear Rob T. Moving on forward. So this is also critical to this week's video. So the Japanese government plans to review virtual currency corporate tax rules. Okay. So here we go. So it turned out that the Financial Services Agency and the Ministry of Economy, Trade, and Industry have decided to review the taxation method for crypto assets issued and held by companies. This is going to be absolutely critical to JASMY, and I'll explain it in a minute. So let me see here. The Japanese crypto industry investors have long complained about the tax system. Okay. So the corporate tax mentioned above has also been pointed out as an issue for the tax system. Under the current law, if a company, this is the important part, if a company holds virtual currency until the end of the period and the market price at the end of the period is higher than the price at the time of acquisition, valuation gains are recorded and added to income. So they tax on unrealized gains for companies. Okay. So this is why a lot of cryptocurrency companies have left Japan, because basically, if you're going to start a cryptocurrency, they will tax you if you're holding the coins, and they will tax you on those unrealized gains. And so, why all of this matters is that this is like mission critical to JASMY as a project. If there's anything in JASMY that is an Achilles heel, this is it right here. Is that the government of Japan is currently taxing unrealized gains. And why that's an Achilles heel is that the entire JASMY business model works on businesses holding those coins, locking up those coins, right? So if you think about it from a business perspective, if I run the business and I say I want access to JASMY's platinum data, well, first I have to buy JASMY coin, right? Essentially, I have to hold that, it gets locked up, right? Then the government of Japan is going to tax me on that, potentially over and over and over again, even though I may not actually do anything with it. I may just be holding it. That's an Achilles heel. And every single business is the same in that, every business is always looking to be as cost effective as possible. At least most are, unless you're the government, of course. Then we'll just frivolously print or spend money, right? Anyways, little sidebar there. Sorry. So when you look at this, though, that's why this is so critical that they have to get this right. And everything that I've read on the Japanese, the current political will to do this is very high right now. And the reason why is that they realize that their goals of their national data strategy by 2025, the smart cities by 2030, none of this is going to be possible with their current cryptocurrency taxation laws. They have to change it. And so When this could change is this year. When the proposal could come out. Let me put it that way. The proposals could come out between November and December of this year, 2022. It could go into effect if it's ratified, essentially in 2023. Why that's critical, and again, if you look at the context of JASMY, you say, okay, maybe this is why they've really kind of started first with the fan token. I guess you could argue that they started first with secure PC, right? But their main focus lately has sort of been the fan token, and maybe this is why. Because with the fan token, you're not talking about businesses. The bulk of JASMY's business itself surrounds actual companies holding and locking up these JASMY coins over time, and so those companies aren't going to do that if the government's just going to tax the hell out of them, right? They're not going to do that. So I think when it comes to customer businesses, and I could be wrong here, I'm just sort of guessing. I think there's probably a long list of companies, just like I showed earlier, that are highly interested in platinum data. But the kicker in all of that is that they can't lock up those JASMY coins because the government will tax the hell out of them. So the laws have to change. And like I said, in Japan, the government is well aware that if they don't change these laws, that they're going to have another 20 years that it's completely lost. I actually had somebody send me a video from Japan where they were talking about this. There was three guys talking about it on YouTube, all Japanese. It was like a 6-7 minute video, and that was the undercurrent and theme of the whole video, was essentially that they have to get this right or they're going to miss another 20, 30 years of innovation. They've already had the last 3 decades, 2 to 3 decades essentially of lost opportunities. They don't want to lose more opportunities. That's why the prime minister, why Kishida is really pushing his goals essentially with the data strategy in Society 5.0, right? There's a lot of momentum around this, and I think it's pretty obvious. They've had, I think, a pretty big company, I think it was called Star, cryptocurrency one, that went to Singapore and said, basically, yeah, we would have stayed in Japan, but we can't afford to be here because it's not a business friendly environment. That's really what it comes down to, right? Like for me, I live in the state of Florida. Very, very business friendly here in Florida. We get companies that come to Florida all the time because we, put the taxes basically as low as possible. They leave the northeast part of the USA. They leave, the Pac Northwest essentially, and they come down here to Florida because it's a very favorable business environment. That's what Japan has to create, and that's the current Achilles heel of the entire JASMY project, is this tax law. Okay, so now by all accounts, and like I showed earlier, we do have government ties here with JASMY. So we do know that the government is well aware of JASMY. We also know that the national data strategy pretty much follows JASMY to a T. So all of this stuff, um, it's kind of if the stars align and it goes through as it should, then 2023 and beyond should really see JASMY take off. Okay. Um, but outside of all of that, if I had anything that I said was a negative with JASMY and Achilles heel, this is it. Okay. Now, I think there's other things that obviously we got opportunities in marketing, for example, which obviously they're looking at now. They're addressing that. But this one in particular is a big one. Okay. So that's what I wanted to highlight. Now, lastly, I just wanted to go over and show you the current chart and kind of what I'm seeing here. I always like to show the chart because there's always a lot of FUD around the chart. So looking at the chart right here, you can see where we dipped down. This was on the 18th. Okay. So a couple days ago, we dipped down, and we dipped down on almost no volume at all. This is why I highlighted in my post earlier when I showed you on the feed. Since that time, really haven't had a whole lot of volume. Okay. Not a lot of volume going on right now. But the whole cryptocurrency environment, really all markets right now, all global markets, none of them are doing well. We've got Russia doubling down on this just completely delusional imperialist war that they're have sucked the whole planet into. I've been hoping for the cooler heads to prevail for quite some time, and each day he just kind of drives the country of Russia off a cliff even further. But in doing so, the problem is that all the global markets are connected, and when he does that, he disrupts everything. And so, until that's wrapped up, that's a disruptor. There's been some disruptions in the country of Iran. There's been a lot of stuff around the planet going on. Obviously, the Fed rate hike happened. A lot of just bad news. It's really not a good environment for any kind of huge market gains. It's a huge correction environment. Anybody who tells you we're not in a recession is basically lying to you. The moment they start talking about the word recession, that basically should cue you that we're in a recession, and it's going to be a little while before it corrects. So I'm not expecting anything anytime soon. Really, what you got to see this is the opportunity that it is, and kind of going back to Blake's post and Warren Buffett, that's exactly what he does. So, with all of that, we're going to wrap everything up with some final thoughts, bring it on home, and wrap up another JASMY weekly update. All right, so I want to wrap up the final thoughts today by really just kind of talking about two topics, the globalization and the tax law reform, right? So the globalization is a new change for JASMY. This is a shift. This is something new, okay? You can see it in Hara's tweet. You can see it in the CoinMarketCap description. You can tell this is a focus now. They're trying to look at globalization. Really an interesting kind of concept, if you think about it, right? Like you think about your standard business. Your standard business is thinking small. They're thinking, the customers who are nearby, who are close to me, right? JASMY is already thinking global. And you can kind of see why when you see all those different heads of companies saying how interested they are in JASMY's platinum data, okay? So you can see that there. Now, where that has implications around the world, is all of the various tax laws. And are you taxed on unrealized gains, yes or no? Like I said in the video, the problem right now in Japan is that they're really stifling innovation. And the reason they do that, I don't know if I'd say the reason they do that. Maybe I'm taking that out of context. But essentially, they're stifling innovation by having laws on the books that aren't favorable towards businesses or the country. And then you have something, they talk about this a lot lately, especially with Russia, is the brain drain, right? Where the brightest and best, your upcoming stars, they leave your country and they go somewhere else. Well, where have they been going? They've been going to Singapore, okay? So much more favorable cryptocurrency startup environment. That's, again, we always come back to this theme, it seems like, in each week in my videos, where you go, it would have been a heck of a lot easier for JASMY to leave Japan, okay? That's not the point. And when you look at all the connections in the team, and then you start going back and you find these AMAs where they say, oh, and by the way, this was approved by the government of Japan, this project here that we're involved in. You go, Then you look at the data strategy and it reads exactly like, the JASMY personal data locker. You go, okay, so they want individuals to be able to store their data securely, and then we're going to learn new insights by providing or putting Edge AI on it, and then getting our various insights, okay? That's basically what the government strategy is. And then you move on further to the smart cities, and you can kind of see the way they want to develop this. None of that's going to be possible if they can't get the tax laws updated. That is critical. So, when you think about JASMY as a project and taking off, could it have some run-ups here and there? Sure. That's going to be a really important thing because that is mission critical. That law this is the whole reason behind the videos I've done, like on the float, right? So the concept of the float and those KPIs, is locking up 35 billion coins in businesses. Well, those businesses aren't going to lock up the coins if you're going to tax them on unrealized gains. Now, what I've seen proposed is that what is being proposed is to lower the tax rate, first of all, from 60% down to 20%. 60 is just insane. I mean, why would you even participate in the market at 60? That's where it is right now. So that lower it from 60 to 20, and then only tax when that currency has been converted back into fiat. Genius. This is genius. You know, this is like the light bulb went off. You know, I read that and I thought, boy, that's exactly what they need to do over the entire planet, okay? Is that they need to tax you on cryptocurrency when you turn it back into fiat. But if everybody's going to tax you the moment you send something from a central exchange to a wallet, then what's the point? You know, they're not getting it right? And you know, the U.S. where I'm at is definitely guilty of that. They're not following it correctly whatsoever. We have archaic laws that really don't fit with this very well. So we've definitely got to advance this. But where Japan, I think, can be a leader is they can be one of the first countries to develop a framework, just like they did with the stable coins. And I could see that happening, and they've got the political will right now to do it. And they know that if they're going to bring back the country of Japan and make it strong and make it into this innovator that they know that it is, it's like in the DNA of Japan, is to be a technology innovator. They know it's there. They just got to update these laws. And so that is going to be mission critical for us, for JASMY, for anybody who's investing in JASMY. That's mission critical, okay? So that's definitely a risk for us that, you know, hey, what if the whole thing gets derailed and then they never do that? Well, then that would probably kill the project, okay? I don't think that's going to happen, though. By all accounts, it looks like the entire political system in Japan knows it's a huge problem. They want to update it. However, there is a process to do so. That process starts with proposals in November through December of this year. And then if those proposals are approved, that could go into effect next year, 2023. So when you're looking at JASMY, JASMY is not an overnight project. It's not anything that's going to happen. You know, it's not going to go on some crazy parabolic run overnight or anything like that. This is a long-term project. But when you start looking at all the various implications with this one, you can see why so many people are so bullish in the long run. All right, so that's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, make sure to hit the like button. Don't forget that I'm also on Twitter at KIR Finance, where you can find me tweeting and retweeting. Check me out there. If you follow the QR code right here, it'll take you over to my website. I got all kinds of stuff there, the blog, the merch shop, Patreon, whatever. That's all in there. Check that out. And lastly, for a friendly reminder, this is Jesse with Keeping It Real Finance, channel that always says Euroback, tells it like it is, and I will see you on the next one. Later.